Hello and welcome to the second Avian Adventures workshop. We're glad you've joined us. For those of us that were in the live webinar, our participants used their reactions buttons to vote true or false for our chicken trivia. Now, if you're just watching the video later, obviously you won't push the buttons, but you can guess whether each statement is true or false and play along with us. The color of a hen's eggs is determined by the color of their earlobe. True or false? Now, if you've been studying for the skillathon, you probably know that this is true. If a chicken's earlobe is white, they will have white eggs. If it is red, they will have colored eggs, usually brown. Americans eat more chicken each year than they eat beef. True or false? This statement is actually true. The average American eats around 80 pounds of chicken each year and only 63 pounds of beef. The longest recorded flight of a chicken is 13 minutes. True or false? Well, chickens have wings, but they're not very good at flying. The longest recorded flight of a chicken is only about 13 seconds. So the answer to this trivia question is false. The record for the most yolks in one egg is 9. True or false? As amazing as it sounds, this is actually true. The world's record for the most number of yolks in one egg is 9. How are you doing on our trivia so far? Hopefully, you're acing it. Our next statement, chickens can run as fast as 6 miles per hour. Now, if you've ever tried to chase or catch a chicken, you know they can move pretty fast when they want to. This statement is actually false. Chickens can run as fast as 9 miles per hour. So if you answered false, you were correct. To clean themselves, chickens like to take dust baths. True or false? This statement is true, and most of you probably got that one correct. Chickens love to take dust baths. The fear of chickens is called alectorophobia. True or false? This is actually true. Some people are afraid of chickens. I hope you enjoyed our little icebreaker of chicken trivia. At this point in the presentation, our live group divided up into 2 different breakout groups. Group 1 was for demonstrations or illustrated talks, and Group 2 was for the entrepreneurship project. This presentation will focus on Group 1, and we'll go over the parts of a presentation. Before we get into the parts of a presentation, let's briefly review the differences between a demonstration and an illustrated talk. A demonstration is really a show and tell presentation. It's when you're telling someone how to do something. And an illustrated talk is a talk with visual aids. Those aids could be posters or a PowerPoint presentation, and it tells about something. There are basically 3 parts to a demonstration or an illustrated talk, so we'll go over each of those parts. The first part is the introduction. You want to make sure that your introduction gets people's attention, and you also want it to introduce your topic. Let's look at an example. If our topic is about how eggs get from the chicken to the grocery store, you might want to have an introduction like this. Have you ever wondered how the egg gets from the chicken to the grocery store? Over the next few minutes, I'm going to share how eggs are collected, washed, candled, and graded. In that example, I asked a question to get the listener's attention, and then I briefly told them the topics I would be discussing in the body of my presentation. And you probably guessed it, the second part of a presentation is the body. Now, if you're doing a demonstration, the body of your presentation will be the steps needed to do what you're demonstrating. If you're doing an illustrated talk, it will be your key points. I recommend that you have at least 3, but no more than 5 steps or key points to your presentation. Now, if you're a senior 4-H'er, you can have more than 5, but for most people, 3 to 5 is a good number to start with. The other thing is you really want to make sure that your steps or your key points are in a logical order, that it makes sense in the order you are sharing them. Here's another example of how you might develop the body of a presentation about how eggs get from the chicken to the grocery store. First, when a hen lays an egg, the egg rolls down a chute to a belt that takes the egg to be washed. Next, the eggs are gently washed, and so on and so forth. You have step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in a logical order from beginning to end. The last part of your presentation is going to be your conclusion, and you're going to want to summarize your presentation without saying the words in conclusion or in summary. You want to summarize what you have said and leave the listener with a good remembrance of your key points or steps. Let's look at another example. If your topic was about how eggs get from the chicken to the grocery store, you might want to do a conclusion like this. Over the past few minutes, I have described how eggs are collected, washed, candled, and graded. I hope you found this process as interesting as I did, and the next time you're at the grocery store, you can appreciate the work that goes into making sure you have yummy eggs to eat. This conclusion summarized the topic in a nice, neat way that was sophisticated without telling the audience this was the conclusion. Now, before we close, I want to briefly go over the score sheet that we talked about in our last video. There are basically 3 parts. The first one has to do with your appearance, your voice, and your grammar. And the second part has to do with the organization and presentation of your topic, which is what we really discussed tonight. You're going to want to have a catchy introduction that is brief, but also introduces your topic in an effective way. You're going to want to have a logical sequence of your material. If you're doing a demonstration, make sure that you have all of your materials laid out in the order that you're going to talk about them. If you're doing a poster, make sure that your posters are in the right order. And if you're doing a PowerPoint, make sure your slides are in the right order. Now, when you get ready to compete, you will have time to set up all of your materials before you start, and you'll let the judges know when you're ready. We'll have a projector and a screen ready for you. So if you're doing a PowerPoint, bring your presentation on a thumb drive. If you're using posters, we'll have a table with a stand to hold your posters, and you can bring a pointer if you want. The other part of the score sheet I want to point out is that it does ask for a summary to help wrap up all of your key points or your steps. And then the last part of the score sheet has to do with the subject matter. Many of our live participants did share their topics. They were all great topics, and I feel confident they will get full credit for that part of the score sheet if they go with the topics they shared tonight. And that's our crash course on putting together your demonstration or your illustrated talk. If you have questions, just reach out to myself, Heather Kent at hckent@ufl.edu, or reach out to your local UF-IFAS County Extension agent, and we'll be glad to help you. Hope to see you soon at the Chick Chain Show.